Welcome to Talking Baseball, the show in which we talk about baseball. This is a special edition of the show today. I'm Pete Lincoln, and it struck me, now that I've reached 75 years of age, how much of those 75 years I have devoted to baseball. I played as a kid for years, I coached, and I've watched pretty much every game they've played for 65 years. My wife and I have been to see the Red Sox play in every single park in the country, and I have a brother who has never watched a game and never played. And it struck me what is it about baseball that makes people lifetime addicts? That they live and die with their teams, they think about it in the off season, they're glad when the team does well and sad and mope around when they don't do well. What is it about this sport that causes someone to get so involved as I have? Well, for this special edition, we have a special guest today, George McLaughlin, who is the dad of our renowned public access director, Joe McLaughlin. And he, like me, has spent a lot of his life dealing with baseball. And so, welcome, George.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. What interested you in baseball first? Any idea?
Yes, well, when I was young, my older brothers, I had three older brothers, all played a little baseball. And I went to see them, and I got hooked and went on from there.
So you played as a kid?
I played as a kid. I played in what they call the CYO. It's a Catholic youth organization. The churches sponsored teams. They supplied uniforms, baseballs, bats, and 4 baseballs per game. If you lost the ball and someone didn't bring it back, you didn't get it back. So it was important, and it was a lot of fun and a lot of dedicated people. Kept the kids off the street.
Did any kids get together just play on their own, sandlot ball? Or?
We did, but most of the fields available were playgrounds, and they were hot top. So we played mostly softball. You didn't want to feel the baseball coming off a bat, off asphalt.
So you lived in Boston?
Yes, I did. I grew up in Jamaica Plain and Roxbury in the 50s. So it was good.
So you did get 4 new balls, though. I know when I played as a kid, we played with 1 ball. It got dirtier and dirtier. We'd wrap it with tape after a while. And since I lived in the country, if the ball got hit into the woods, there'd be 10 guys out there scouring the woods until we found it, and we had to quit because we had no more ball to play with. How did you follow the pros when you were kids? Of course, there was no TV.
Only on radio. I used to listen into the night a lot of times, and I heard most of the Red Sox games, in fact, all of them. I used to try to keep score. I'd make up my own score sheet and go inning by inning, and I wasn't very good at it, but it was fun, and kept track of the game better. I enjoyed doing that.
Did you listen to any Braves games back then?
I did. As a matter of fact, they had a program going for kids in Boston called the Knothole Gang.
Really?
And for 10 cents, which was the tax price of a ticket, they would bus you over to the ballpark in Braves Field. They didn't draw very well, so but you get to see the whole game for a dime, and you can sit pretty much anywhere in the ballpark.
Wow, that's great.
But 2 years later, they moved. They were gone.
My great regret is I didn't get to go to Braves Field. I was going to go in '53, and that's the year they moved.
You didn't miss much. It wasn't the greatest ballpark.
But they took with them a young Henry Aaron, a young Eddie Matthews, and,
and Matthews,
and then Warren Spahn and Sane. And so by the time they got to Milwaukee, they did pretty well.
Spawn and Sane and Pray for Rain. Yes, that's right.
It's sort of the way the Sox are this year, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you remember any particular games or events that took place that
well,
something
my first game
happened?
The first game I went to was with the St. Louis Browns, who are now the Baltimore Orioles. Right. And I walked into Fenway Park, and I was awestruck. Just every time you walk up that ramp and walk in, it's kind of special. Yeah. I'll never forget that.
What was the score?
You got me. A fellow named Zuber pitched, and they call him Zim Zim Zuber. Loved to pitch and didn't know how.
Very good.
So it was great. My brother-in-law brought me.
Did you ever do any coaching yourself?
I coached Little League, and I coached what they called Pony League, 14 to 16-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah, that was good. That was a lot of fun. I did that for a couple of years.
I think that became Babe Ruth League, didn't it?
Yes, it finally did. Yes, yeah. And then I went on and I umpired in high school. That was fun. I did Central Massachusetts, Marlborough, Hudson, Northborough, Westborough, Milford, all around that area. Huh. And it was fun.
How many years did you do that?
About 5.
Hmm.
The job was such that I could get there at 3 o'clock.
Right.
So, but then that job disappeared, and so did I.
Ever had any problem with coaches when you're umpire?
No, umpiring, I had my problems. One woman told me I was missing a hell of a game. Another guy threw out a red-tipped cane. So they all had there's always somebody barking at you. But it was good. That was 2-umpire system, so you were on the move a lot.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
Well, when I was a kid, we lived in the country, so it was no problem finding fields. My uncle bought an abandoned dairy farm that had 220 acres, and that's where I grew up. There was a river that ran along the bottom of it, and a big, long, maybe 60 acres of cornfields, and then a mountainside where we lived and a hill behind that. And we used to play, just my brother and I, a game called roly-poly.
Rolling at the bat? Rolling at the bat.
Right, rolling the bat. And so I hit the ball out of my hand, and if he caught it, he got the bat. And if he didn't catch it, he could roll the ball. If he hit the bat, he could get the bat. Unless it hopped over and I caught it, then I stayed at bat. And we would do that all afternoon those days, play roly-poly. But one story that I've got to tell is when my older cousin and I got together, we always would try to lay out a baseball field. And there was no problem doing that. It was a pretty flat area, but we didn't have bases, of course. So there was a little outcrop of glacial deposit rock near us. And on top of that, there were 4 or 5 stones. And so we picked up 4 stones and laid out the 4 bases. And my dad came down to watch us play, and he looked down at first base, and he picked up the rock that we had for first base. He says, "You know what you have here? You have an Indian axe. You can see the grooves that were put into it, sharp stone. And imagine what Indian that made this, do you think that 500 or 600 years later, we'd be sitting here on public access TV in Lunenburg playing with his axe?"
You must have smoked a lot of peyote to make that thing.
Yeah, imagine doing that by hand. But this was our first base. It's been a treasure in the family ever since, so I thought I'd lug it along. We didn't have, if you can see by the picture that comes up, we didn't have a organized Little League. Little League didn't begin in my hometown until the late 50s.
Yeah.
But in the early 50s, it was sort of like CYO, except it was just run by the Parks Department. Sponsored by the Parks. And there were 3 levels, what we call the sub-juniors, which was 9 and 10, then the juniors, which were 11 and 12, and the seniors, which were 13 through 15. And we just played pickup games, pretty much organized pickup games.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the season when I was 11 years old, they decided to get an all-star game played against a team from Wethersfield, Connecticut, for no apparent reason, Wethersfield, Connecticut. And I was picked to be the first baseman. I was left-handed, so I can only play first base. And we had always played on a regular 90-foot diamond because they didn't have Little League. So we used to playing on a regular diamond. But since this team we were playing was an official Little League team, we had to put the bases in 60 feet from home plate.
Right.
Well, it's 4-4. I come up in about the 5th inning, and I hit a shot between the 2 outfielders. And the bases are loaded, the runs are scoring. I'm running down to first base. I forget that first base is halfway down the line. I trip over it and fall flat on my face. I get up kind of stunned, and the ball was still out in the outfield. So I couldn't find second base because it was somewhere behind the pitcher's mound. So I staggered around, finally tagged that, and they're still getting the ball. And by the time I get to third base, my legs were tired. I fell on the top of third base and was out. But I won the game. Scored. So the coach comes up to me and says, "Lincoln, that was a terrific hit, but you ran the bases like a drunken sailor." And it was one of the highlights of my life because I was so bad at running the bases. When I was in high school, we made a real field. We called it Cow Coliseum because it was in a cow pasture.
Yeah.
And we put up an outfield fence that was barbed wire. So when you went back for a fly ball, you had to be real careful that you didn't run into the barbed wire. One summer, we had 49 different kids play.
Wow.
I should have gotten a stipend for the director. Every single Sunday, we got guys together to play. You couldn't do that together today. No way.
No.
It's one of the sad things about today's culture is that kids just don't play sandlot ball anymore. But I have very fond memories of the time I played. Another thing we used to do was collect baseball cards. And tell me about your background in that.
I had an enormous collection of baseball cards that I thought was very valuable. until I Googled. And I checked eBay. They weren't that valuable, but I still kept them. My children would purchase them, and then they'd stick them in the bicycle spokes to make noises. So I decided I better keep them all for them. And I've got quite a few. And but I offered it to them, and they said, no, they don't want them. But compared to yours, it's trivial.
Well, when I was a kid, every boy I knew collected baseball cards. Everybody had some. Some were, I mean, you could buy one for a penny. A penny was in a pack, and you get a piece of gum and a card. And if you had a nickel, you got 6 cards. Same amount of money. So it wouldn't be too hard to, you have to be rich to collect baseball cards.
No.
Some kids would buy more than others. But what we had a game we used to play to try to get more. And if you got to be pretty good at it, we call it skin you. I'll skin you of your cards. And I know in New Jersey and New York, my friends that I have met later, the card collectors, had a game where they would take a baseball card like this and flick it. And if both cards came down the same heads, you would get the cards. Tails, he'd get the cards. What we used to do is what we call scaling cards. We'd take a card and hold it between your front fingers like this, flip your wrist, and see who could get it closest to the wall. We'd play out in the playground where there was asphalt. And whoever got closest to the wall would get the 2 cards. And I got so I could get that thing really close. And if it was leaned up against the wall, like this.
A leaner, yeah.
A leaner.
Yeah.
You knock it down, you get 2 extra cards. Well, what I would do, because I hated the Yankees, even as a young kid.
Oh, shame.
I couldn't stand them. Well, you know, from the time we were fans up until 1967,
That's
Red
all,
Sox
yeah.
never won, and the Yankees always
Always won.
Always.
Yeah.
And always.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand Mickey Mantle because he never. I broke a couch arm once after he hit a home run in the extra innings. I thought he could have pounded the couch and broke it.
I watched his first game on television, and it was a doubleheader. He struck out 6 times. But he looked great striking out. I said, oh, boy.
You better explain to the audience what a doubleheader is.
Oh, they know what. 2 games.
Yeah.
2 games in a row. Yeah. Ernie Banks played for the Cubs, was famous for saying on a nice day, why don't we play 2?
Let's play 2. Yeah. So you would take a card, and I'll scale right at the camera.
Wow.
How's that? And what I would do, though, is take the Yankee cards and bash the corners in. So when they hit the wall, they would just drop down dead against the wall.
That's cheating.
No, it was strategy. But in later years, when these cards all became so valuable, I threw away hundreds of dollars beating Mickey Mantle up.
Yeah. Wow.
Kids don't collect cards anymore.
No.
The companies priced them out of existence. They made too many of them, and a pack costs $3 or $4 now. And the only people that collect them now are adults.
Professional collectors, yeah.
Professional collectors. And they made these things like, there was no such thing as a rookie card or a star card. And it was just, the trick was to try to collect the whole set, try to get them all. And they used to issue them in series, too.
Yep.
First series and second series. And the most valuable series was the last one, because there weren't as many of it, and it was competing with football.
Yeah.
And so the last...
I've got that, too.
Yeah.
I have a collection of football cards.
Yeah. Now, they had football cards, they still do every year. Basketball cards were pretty scarce, only 2 seasons.
I've got them, too.
And there was a series of boxing cards called Ringside in 1951 that I collected.
I saw those, but I never...
I still have that.
You have an Ali rookie card, you're golden.
Well, the big card, the valuable card in that set is Rocky Marciano. Before he was champ. He was just... That was the valuable card.
Yeah.
But Gene Tunney was valuable, and Jack Dempsey was valuable, Jersey Joe Walcott, and some of those guys. But they don't do boxing. Boxing's pretty much dead as a sport now, I would say. So you said something about your first Red Sox. Any other memorable Red Sox game you said? Did you ever go to a World Series game?
Yes, I did. I told you I went to game 6 in 1967, and I sat in right field, way up back behind the girder almost. But I saw the whole game, and they won. And Rico Petrocelli hit 2 home runs. It's a great game to watch. A lot of fun.
And that series was won by Mr. Bob Gibson, unfortunately.
That's right. When I was at the year, they lowered, raised the mound
The next
a
year.
half an inch
The
or
next
so.
year. No, they dropped it down.
And they dropped it
They
down?
dropped it down. It was 15 inches.
Yeah,
And he was so dominant. And the next year, too. Remember that he pitched the next series
yeah,
in '68 that they lost to the Tigers when Mickey Lolich did so well.
yeah.
Then they dropped the mound from 15 inches to 10 inches to take away the advantage. So many games, the ERA was so low, the batting average. In 1968, Carl Yastrzemski won the batting title with an average of 3.01.
That's the lowest ever.
3.01 ever.
Did he win the Triple Crown that year?
He won the year before, in '67.
67,
67 is when he won. Remember, he had a great,
Yeah.
the playoff games they
Yeah.
played against Minnesota and won them. But there was so little offense, and people just weren't.
Yeah. People want to see runs scored. It's not
Right.
soccer.
Well, I saw my first game on August 23rd, 1950. Again, the Red Sox were playing the St. Louis Browns. And what I remember most about it was Mel Parnell, because I was so small, I couldn't see over the guy's head in front of me, so I could just watch the pitcher. We had good seats behind first base. So he became my favorite player for a while, because he was the only one I'd seen that day.
He's a good player to have favorite.
player,
He's
that's right.
a good one.
And then I became real idolized almost, Walt Dropo. He had a great rookie season.
He was a Connecticut lad.
Connecticut,
Yes,
Moosup, Connecticut, right?
Moose, yeah.
And a great rookie season, great big strapping first baseman. And years later, I met him as an older fellow. I said, when I was a kid, you were my hero. And he looks at me and says, thanks for telling me that. You know what he did, though? He's the only person in history to hit a ball over the Green Monster and over the Great Wall of China. He became a fireworks salesman in his later years, and he went, just for the heck of it, hit a golf ball over the Great Wall of China. Kind of remarkable thing, huh?
Yeah.
One other thing happened in that game which stuck out of my mind. You remember the Red Sox right fielder named Al Zarilla?
Yes, I do.
Zeke Zarilla.
Yes.
For a while, he had the lowest, the lowest alphabetical name of all the Red Sox players until they came up with Bob Zubsick a little while ago. Zeke Zarilla. He came up in the third inning of that game, struck out. The ball got away from the catcher. He started down the line. Catcher picked up the ball, threw it, and hit him right smack in the back of the head.
Oh, my.
He kept on running, stepped on first, ran about 30 more feet down, and collapsed out cold.
Yep.
It made such an impression on me, I could still visualize it. What would it be, 2 or 3 centuries later?
I was the guy who went over and tagged him. I said, he's already been tagged.
Do you go to games much anymore?
No, I'm
Sounds
guilty. I'm a television fan.
Yeah.
It's so comfortable in your big screen, high definition.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
spoiled rotten,
I think of how there were no games on TV until the mid-'50s.
That's
except
right.
maybe World Series games.
Yeah.
I remember in '56, they had 18 Sunday games on in black and white, all home games. And my grandfather had a TV. I didn't have one then, and so I make a point to go over and say hello
Say
to him,
grandpa,
visit, so
yeah.
I could see his games. And then, even up into the '80s, you couldn't get all the games. You had, remember the rabbit ears? You had to
Yes,
turn the rabbit ears or put,
try to adjust those.
adjust
yeah.
them or put. You had to hold it up, or somebody would stay in a certain part of the room. Don't move. I can watch this. And, put tin foil on the antenna to try to make it work better.
Anything, yeah.
In '86, the first great big rooftop antennas came out. They're about 8 feet wide, and '86 was when the Sox were doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So we put one on our house, but we lived down by the lake. Anytime the wind blew hard, it would throw it out of kilter. So I had to climb back up on the roof and change it.
A dangerous business.
Oh, it was.
Gosh.
But now you can see every game. It's
Every game. And then
every
some.
game. Yeah.
You can see Monday night baseball. They
That's
have
right.
Sunday night baseball. They have,
We subscribe to the baseball channel
Yep.
every day, every game.
Wow.
So it's not like, which is good because you can follow other teams.
Yeah.
I try to pick, like this year I'm following the Brewers because they traded Shaw to the Brewers. And
Mm-hmm.
so in the old days, you couldn't see them. I remember when football first started on TV, the only games you could get were the Giants and the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
So everybody was a Giants or a Browns fan.
Everybody in this area was big Giant fans.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
There's still a lot of Giant fans around.
yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to get rid of them.
They've had 2 or 3 UMass players play. Victor Cruz plays there, and
Yeah.
a lot of follow from that. So who would you say, just offhand, are your favorite players of all time?
Oh, gee. Mantle would be one.
Not a Red Sox?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, no.
It's okay, it's okay.
I don't know, but I like Dwight Evans a lot. I
Yep.
thought he was underrated, vastly underrated. Great ball player.
Yeah.
He could hit, throw, run.
Great arm.
Yeah, marvelous.
arm.
Right field. He was my favorite too.
That catch in the 75 series he made off Joe Morgan
Yeah,
was
right out of the stands he
great,
took that one.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I never wanted to meet him, but I like Ted Williams.
Yeah,
He was-
he never.
He had a problem playing at a time when the team was bad,
Yeah.
and so the press picked on him. The fans didn't like him because he wasn't a pleasant character.
Well,
But what a hitter.
he made an unusual gesture to
Yeah, he did.
the press corps at one
But
time.
the press, there's a guy named Dave Egan who used to write for the Boston Record American. Who
What they
was-
call him, the Colonel?
The Colonel.
Yes.
He was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he was just a miserable person. He just decided to take Williams on as a pet project.
Yeah.
Just to denigrate him at all times. It was just pretty mean.
Were you always one of those people that went to his last Red Sox game, Ted Williams, where he hit his home last at bat? I know of 50,000 people who were there.
I'll tell you a story
There
about
was
that.
only 10.
I'll tell you a story about that. I went to Tufts, and I was in school. And I was a sophomore that year, and they were playing their last game at home. But the Red Sox were scheduled to end the season at Yankee Stadium. They had 3 more games to play, and my roommate came from Manhattan. So we had gotten tickets to go down to see the games in New York, stay at his house. And there was no indication that that was going to be his last game. It became his last game when he hit that home run.
I
I'll
know.
tell you that right now.
Yeah, right down there, yeah.
And they have a broadcast of Kurt Gowdy
Yeah.
saying this is his last game. That was made up afterwards. That did not happen at the time.
Yep.
And we were so mad because we could have gone.
I know.
We did that often. In those days, you could go in 5th or 6th inning. They let you in free in the bleachers. We just
Yep.
go see the game.
Yep.
It was a lousy, miserable, overcast day. They were playing in Baltimore. It didn't mean anything. That wasn't there. But we were there for the 20 strikeouts of Roger Clemens. That game we were
That's
at.
quite a feat. That was.
And they replay that game all the time on TV. When Dwight Evans came up and won the game with a 3-run homer, we were sitting right next to the cameras in center field bleachers. I ran around to try to catch the ball
Yeah.
that was coming. There was nobody else out there. It hit that net that comes down that protected it
Yeah.
by this much. And you can see this character come running around in a big red sweatshirt, try to catch the ball and then go, oh.
That's
They
you.
repaid that. Oh, that's me. I missed catching the winning ball in that game, but just by that much. The other fellow I was really, really heartsick about was Tony Canigliaro. What happened to him?
That was awful.
In the 60s, my daughter was just 1, and the first thing she said was, Tony Nigiaro. My daughter to say that. He just was,
Yeah.
he was a local kid, handsome guy, made records,
Yeah.
and
The youngest major leaguer to hit 100 home runs.
That's right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
And just a free spirit. To me, was what baseball should be about. Not just out for the money. Just a guy with talent and
You're
good
local,
looks and
a local kid
guy
too. Yeah.
from Swampscott and made good. And so sad what happened to him in his
Yeah.
life. But he was. I think they should have retired his number at Fenway. I don't know why they.
Yeah,
haven't.
I don't know why they haven't either. That's a good point.
There's no
It
reason
should
why
be
they-
looked into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my wife likes Kevin Millar. He was
Yeah.
the spark plug with that 2000.
Well, he's a bit of a character.
Oh,
Yeah.
great character.
Yeah.
But he's so positive, so upbeat,
Yeah.
the cowboy up stuff. And,
Yeah.
There's another one I really liked.
Well, he drank a little. I don't know how true that is.
Oh, they all do a little bit. But the story is that before that 4th game that they pulled out, they had shots of Jack Daniels before the game started.
Yeah.
And he said, let's cowboy up and drink. And they won, so maybe that was the secret to their success, I guess. Not like the drinkers in the old days. Remember Ellis Kinder?
I do.
Ellis
I
Kinder?
do. One great reliever. Yeah.
He used to come to Fitchburg to play golf.
Really.
Up in, what's the place in Fitchburg? Oak Hill Country
Okay,
Club.
yeah.
In the afternoon, get completely drunk out of his mind, drive back to Boston and pitch 3 innings of perfect relief. And apparently he did this frequently. Just go out of town to drink. It was a different world back then. The ball players didn't make much money, and
No,
you know,
no, all had Johnny Pesky sold windows. I remember him doing commercials for a window company and furniture. All those guys had
That's right.
extra jobs in the winter.
remember Joe Morgan, the manager, who was a
Okay.
snowplow driver on the, right there. Joe Morgan.
Yep.
Was drove snowplows on the Mass Pike in the off season.
That's right.
But they didn't make any money then.
Yeah. Now he had the longest winning streak the Red Sox have had.
Yep. That's
That's
right. 24 straight games in a row.
Yep.
Yep.
yeah.
He was a character.
Yes, he was. He, nice guy.
He sort of would mumble. He always used to say 24 and out, whatever that meant.
I don't know. But he wasn't your typical
No.
hard-nosed,
Or
guy.
corporate. I think this Farrell that they have now, he's like a corporation guy. He
Yeah.
talks. He doesn't talk like a baseball man. He's,
Yeah.
I like the tough guys. But, baseball has become a huge business, enormous business.
A lot of money.
Oh, tremendous amounts of money, and the TV contracts are what drive that too.
Yeah. They're guaranteed contracts, unlike football.
Yeah.
Baseball player gets hurt like our friend Panda there. He's getting paid, and he can't play. But he'll continue to get paid. So,
Oh boy, some of them have been paid. Yankees have a couple guys in their rosters that haven't been there for 3-4 years. They're still paying. They're
I know.
paying off this. You
well, look
sign
at
guys that-
A-Rod. Is,
classic example.
Yeah.
Oh.
his contract was bigger than most countries. Most small
Most small
countries.
countries,
Yeah, budget.
Well, so take a break here. We always in these shows have a trivia question,
Uh-huh.
just to see if our audience out there is paying attention, but they are. So why don't you read today's?
Today's
Trivia
trivia question is, what was the first year the Red Sox drew 1 million fans?
Okay,
And if you think about it, it makes sense.
that's right.
Good luck.
That's right. They passed the 3 million mark. In fact, they sold out 8 straight years at one point. I remember we went to the 700th consecutive game, and they gave us a ball that said 700 on it to commemorate it.
Say that.
They only gave out 15,000, so they.
Oh, okay.
But the attendance in baseball in the old days wasn't anywhere near what it is
Oh,
now.
no. 10,000 was a good crowd.
Their lowest all-time attendance was the year before Tom Yawkey bought them in 1932 during the Depression.
Yep.
280,000 people total. 2,000 a game.
Yeah.
So that would be like half the bleachers and nobody else in the park.
Yeah.
So this was the first year that they actually had 1 million attendance, and the year before it was about 450,000. So, but if you think about it, there'll be a reason why this would be.
Yeah.
So at the end of the show, we'll let you in on the answer. So what do you think about the current team?
The what?
The current team, today's team.
Today's team?
Yeah. How do you evaluate
I
that?
think today's team has more potential than I've ever seen a Red Sox team. You got a first baseman, a Gold Glove. A second baseman, a Gold Glove. The shortstop's going to be a Gold Glove. The right fielder's a Gold Glove. The center fielder is going to be a Gold Glove. And Benintendi in left field is a potential star.
Yep.
I think if the pitching were as good as it could be, they'd be routing the rest of the league. They really have great potential, I think, in the long run.
What's surprised me so far, because my son and I did a show. Our last show was what this year was going to be like, what our expectations are.
Mhm.
And we had them playing the Cubs in the World Series, all set.
Yeah.
I've been disappointed by their offense.
Yeah.
It seems to be
Sporadic.
and
Yeah.
the fact that they're last in the majors in home runs is a little
Yeah.
scary.
Well, they miss Big Pappy, I think.
Oh. They didn't replace him.
No,
they,
you
they
couldn't.
didn't go out to get an Encarnacion or a slugger.
Yeah.
They put their money into Chris Sale, which probably was a good deal, but they don't seem to knock. Their batting averages are pretty good, but they don't seem to have. They leave a lot of men on base.
Yeah.
A lot of double plays.
A lot of double plays.
A lot of double plays.
Yeah. But that's just baseball, though. You hit the ball real hard, but at
That's right.
somebody.
That's right.
And if a couple of feet either way,
right.
it's a game of inches.
That's right. Like last night's game, they had 6 home runs, but the 2 games before that, they got a total of 9 singles. So go figure.
And hit into 4 double
Before
plays.
double first every inning, double play, double play, double play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's just bad luck.
It is. It's bad luck, and I think it'll turn around. I'm surprised by how well the Yankees have been playing. Some of the young players have been doing very well.
Judge is at 15 or 16 home runs
Yeah.
already.
He's
And,
a big guy, too.
he's a big kid, yeah.
Big kid.
Yeah.
But Sanchez, who did so well at the end of last year, hasn't done much at all. So, you go figure.
Yeah. But they're good. They're solid round club. They play good defense like the Red Sox. And
Yeah.
that will rise. The cream will rise eventually,
That's
I think.
right.
I think the Sox will be right in there in the end.
They have made two, I think, bad deals in the last 2 years. Getting Carson Smith as a reliever 2 years ago, and then getting Thornburg this year from Milwaukee for Shaw.
I've never seen him.
Neither has pitched yet.
Is he a pitcher?
Yes, the relief pitchers.
Relief pitcher?
They traded Shaw away. Shaw's leading Milwaukee in home runs
I
and
know.
average and RBIs. He's got 35 RBIs.
Is he a first baseman, though?
Third base. Third base.
Oh, my God.
And that's where they're
That's where they're hurting,
Sandoval,
yeah.
I think, is starting today.
Yeah.
Help. So they traded, and they didn't replace anybody at third base. So we'll see.
Well, they thought this fellow would back out. So they paid big money for him.
So if you could pick, just off the top of your head, if you could pick one player from any place in the major leagues to come join this team that would help them the most, who would you pick?
Who's the third baseman for Baltimore?
Machado?
Yes.
He's hitting 200, He's
That's
having
all
a
right.
bad year.
I'll take him anyways.
Yeah, I would have said Trout, but Trout's out for 2 months, so we can't pick him.
Oh.
He just hurt himself, so he's out for 2 months.
Oh. Well, you've also got there's a lot of good players you could get. So.
Yeah, he's had some problems with the Red Sox, though.
Who's that?
Machado has.
Oh, yeah. They hit him, and he slid into Pedroia. No, he doesn't have many fans at Fenway Park. I know that.
Yeah, they have long memories.
You heard our baby.
Yeah, that's right. They have long memories.
A toy bulldog, you got him.
So just generally, do you think there's a lot of talk about baseball games being too long? Now, when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to a Sunday doubleheader for my birthday in June every year. I could have stayed for 3 games.
I know.
Why do you think people think the games are too long today?
I think it's time. The length of the game is just too long. They've got to find ways to shorten it. They're trying. They have now an intentional pass. They just send the guy down. But as I told you earlier, they must do something about stepping in and out of the box, fixing your gloves. There's just so much time wasted. And they give a player time when a pitcher's halfway into his throwing.
Right. They did that yesterday.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. So if they could take away the gloves and make something that's comfortable on their hands with the bat so they don't get blisters. We don't want these guys to get hurt with blisters because they're very valuable blisters. So they should do something, but who knows what.
Yeah, Nomar would add 15 minutes to the game because he would adjust his gloves every single time up.
Every pitch.
He needed to get better Velcro or something to tie him down better.
I don't know. Maybe somebody's going to invent something that's going to be priceless.
Now, part of the reason the games are so long is there's so much time for television ads. They take time out just for advertisements. Every time a pitcher's changed, they have ads on. They have 4 minutes of ads in World Series games now. In the old days, since there was no TV and no radio, it was as fast as they get in and go out. They leave their gloves on the field.
Yes.
And they averaged about 90 seconds. Now it's 4 minutes. So you take 2 or 3 minutes for every inning. That's a half an hour right there, just changing sides. The other thing is now, I think there's so many relief pitchers. They change relief pitchers, like last night. Sale goes 5 innings. Somebody for the 6th, somebody for the 7th, somebody for the 8th, somebody for the 9th. Or if there's a lefty up, they bring in a lefty, a righty, And they didn't used to do that. Remember they used to have a little cart that brought people in?
Yep. Now they run in.
Now they run in or walk in.
Another thing is the pitchers between innings. I can see give them 8 throws. You got to give them 8 throws. You give them 8 throws in the beginning, but once the guy's warmed up, get out there and throw a couple and let's get going.
That's right.
You may not save much time, but you do that for 8 innings.
That's right.
You pick up 5-10 minutes.
Well, I don't care if the game's going 4 hours.
I know. You go to doubleheaders and like it.
Well, pay $100 for a ticket. You don't want to be over 2 hours.
You take a kid for a doubleheader today, he'll go crazy, or he'll drive you crazy.
Oh, they'll sit there during the whole time and play with this. Play fantasy baseball though.
Yeah.
I used to collect baseball magazines. This year I went out to buy one for the opening year. There was 1 baseball magazine and 7 fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to own their own team.
Yep.
There's big money in that now.
Football is tough. Baseball is tougher than football for some reason. More people are into fantasy football than baseball.
Yeah.
What is it, the same? You pick out so many players?
Yes.
And,
Yeah. And,
I've never tried it.
well, see, football is more specialist, so you get 11. Actually, they don't have 11. They have a team's defense, running back, quarterback, kicker,
Wide receiver.
and wide receivers.
Yeah.
So you have 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. I think you pick 10 different guys.
Yeah.
And then they have the stats that they accumulated during that time.
Yeah.
And you can change them for each game. We played that just for the fun of it, and it's easier to do. But with baseball, it depends on who the starting pitcher is for the other team,
Yeah.
where they're playing night and day.
You have to be a little more knowledgeable.
Oh, and lucky.
Yeah.
No.
Well, same with football.
If you, like Benintendi goes 5 for 5 one day and then he doesn't get a hit for the next 4 days, how do you know who to pick?
He went 0 for 20 there.
That's right.
One stretch.
That stretch. It's tough to do to pick that. But
The major league pitchers, once they see a weak spot, they can hit it.
that's right. That's
They
right.
can spot the ball,
That's
especially when they get the 2 strikes.
You'll see a lot of time. A kid will come up from the minors and have a couple good weeks.
Yeah.
Up, he can't hit the high curve.
Yeah.
He can't
And that's all he sees.
That's all he's going to see. Or pitch him inside.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they're throwing 100 and 101 miles an hour.
That's right.
You're not going to dig into, I don't know about you, I played and I faced in the service a kid that could throw 80, 85. It scared me.
That's right.
You could hear it coming, you know what I mean? And it takes a little bit of courage to stand in there at 100 miles an hour.
I coached high school baseball here for 4 or 5 years. We had one kid that was a terrific pitcher. He could have been a big leaguer. And I liked to hit against him. And he'd throw a curve right at me.
Mhm.
I could hear it hiss as it came in, and it would break over. And I'm on my butt, jumping out of the
I'm
way.
not standing.
I'm not standing it against this guy.
Yep.
If you sit right behind home plate in Fenway Park
Yeah.
and watch those pitches come in, it's
Yeah.
just
I know. You got a split section
the kind
reaction.
of reflexes you have to be able to hit that ball. Boy.
Well, they give you a round ball, a round bat, and tell you to hit it squarely.
That's right.
So how can you?
But they do.
As they do, yeah. They're amazing.
In fact, the game has changed to a point now where strikeouts don't matter anymore. It used to be, Joe DiMaggio only struck out 15 times in the year he hit his 56-game hitting streak. Now some guys do that in a week.
Now, was that in 2 seasons or one?
Once, what he did the hitting streak?
Yeah.
It was from
Was
May,
it the end
May,
of one year?
May
or
to
the be-
July in 1941.
Okay.
Same year Ted Williams hit 406.
Yep.
Same year.
Yeah. But
56 consecutive games. But in those days, they played all day games.
yep.
They only pitched pretty much one pitcher per game.
Yeah, you saw the guy 4 or
And,
5 times. Yeah.
and you didn't have guys coming in to throw.
Flames.
They didn't have Kimball playing in those days,
No.
throwing flames at you.
Yeah.
Or like when Pete Rose had his hitting streak going, they intentionally walked him 2 or 3 times just because they didn't want him to beat DiMaggio. Why don't you think kids play baseball much anymore unless it's organized?
Because it is organized. Without some supervision, they don't get together. I think it's just too much organization. I think Little League was terrible because it took away Sandlot, and they started out on a field that was too small. Then when they got to the regular field, they threw across from third base. It's a mile and a half away. It took them 2 years to figure that out. So I think organizing may have done more harm than good.
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be. I know. My son runs a Little League tournament in Lunenburg, and the idea of a tournament is that one team beats another team beats another, and finally you have a winner.
Yeah.
A mother came up to him and said, this year we don't want anybody to win or lose because we don't want to have anybody to lose. It's not good for the kids to lose. Well, what's the point of a tournament if you don't win? If you don't win and lose. But that helicopter parent idea of every kid is...
I know. I've seen it.
Or scream at the umpires. Well, you said you umpire with parents on
high school was good.
But I've seen it in Little League. Parents screaming because their little Johnny can't play.
Yeah.
I don't think that's healthy.
No.
You have to organize football and
You
Pop
do.
Warner and all, but not
do,
baseball. Kids just go out and
Now, that's another
have a good
sport.
time.
I think they're too young. They're playing that midget football. Those kids' bones haven't formed yet. And what they see on television is they use the helmet as a spear.
Sure.
And that filters down. Their
I
heroes
just-
are doing that. Why can't I?
I just saw a show where they're concerned about concussions,
Oh.
and they're thinking of actually banning kids from playing contact football till they're 14.
That would make
that-
sense.
That could hurt football overall, though, because
And coaching and how to tackle.
No.
Keep your head up and never mind this spearing.
Tom Brady's wife just said that he's had concussions, doesn't tell anybody.
I think she's had concussions too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She should be very quiet.
When she falls on the runway, sometimes it hurts, huh?
I guess. I don't know. I shouldn't say things like that.
That's okay. This is closed circuit.
Maybe you can edit that, Joey.
So, tell me now, overall, what do you think is the beauty of baseball? Why is baseball, to me...
It's the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
It's pure. Nobody does anything to help anything. In other words, the game, you strike out, you do this, you do that. And that to me, the integrity of the game is so great. And it's a beautiful game to watch.
But how does it have more integrity, say, than any other sport? What gives this something special?
Oh.
And what attracted you to it rather than becoming a soccer fan or becoming a basketball fan?
Again, the grace of the game.
Yeah.
The hit, the run, the field, the whole thing. It's just once the ball's hit, the action. There's nothing, and then all of a sudden, there's everything. That to me is the baseball.
There's always three things about it that appeal to me. First, there's no time limit. Now, okay,
Yeah.
there's longer games,
That's
but you're
important.
not playing to a clock.
Mhm.
So that, like in football, they waste the last 2 minutes of a game. In basketball, they just dribble the game out. In baseball, you can win up till the last batter.
Right.
I love that.
That's
and there's no shootouts or, like in hockey, they just let the poor guy go in on the goalie himself to end the game. This game can go on inning after inning.
Yeah.
Any size person can play this game. You've got Randy Johnson,
Exactly.
who's 6'10", and Petey, who's 5'3", or
Five, whatever he is.
and kids can play too. It doesn't matter what size you are. You know,
Right.
a little guy can be scrappy. It doesn't matter. And what I like about it best, it's a team sport, but it's an individual sport. In basketball, the star takes all the shots. In football, the running guy does all this.
Yeah.
Every single guy has to be by himself in the field and by himself at the bat.
Yep.
And so you don't play anymore.
Can't blame the other guy.
Can't blame the other guy. You can shove, like in Charlie Brown, they shove somebody in right field, but the ball can still go to right field, and you're on your own there.
Yeah.
It's also the only sport where the defense has the ball. You ever think of that? Defense
Yeah.
has the ball all
Yeah.
the time.
Yep.
So you have to attack a defense rather
Yeah.
than the other way around.
That's true. Those two things, time and ball control, that's different than any other sport.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Football coaches always used to yell at their teams, "There's no I in team."
No.
I used to tell my kids, but there's me in team too. So you have to be good.
Yeah.
You make the team good, but you have to be good too. There is me
Exactly.
in team, so
A contribution from everyone.
that's right,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So come around now to the end. I hope everybody enjoyed our little chat here. Trivia answer. The first year the Red Sox drew 1 million fans was the year 1946.
Yeah, they won the pennant.
They won the pennant. All their good players who had been active in the service, Tom DiMaggio and Ted Williams and Bobby Dorr and Johnny Pesky, a couple of their pitchers, I think Boo Ferris was in the service too, all came back at the same time, and they won the pennant. And that, I think, activated, and the war was over, of course.
Yeah.
And America wanted to go out and enjoy things again. So that was the first year that they won.
And they also lost to the Cardinals. And then again, they lost to the Cardinals again in
That's right.
1967. Then they lost to Cincinnati. And it was getting
And they lost to
it
the
was
Mets.
getting tiresome.
They lost to the Mets. And then 2004, ta-da!
Ta-da! Here we come.
And we beat the
And
Cardinals.
3 times in that decade.
In 2007, we beat the Rockies. In 2013, we beat the Cardinals again. So
Yes,
we're
so-
even with the Cardinals now.
There you go. We got them.
Yeah. Were you following baseball in 1946 when they won?
Not really, no. I was, I went to one game. I listened on the radio a lot. But 46, I was 10 years old. So no, not really following it. But,
I heard that story about Pesky not throwing the ball in to get country slaughtered. And they
well,
lost the
they
last
didn't
game.
tell him, they're supposed to tell you where to relay the ball, and nobody told him. And he turned through the third, but Slaughter was around, going around third.
Something nobody remembers. Dom DiMaggio got hurt in the 8th inning of that game. They took him out of center field.
Did he?
Yes.
Yeah. He was
So
great. He was-
he didn't make the relay in as quickly as the sub did. I don't
Yeah.
remember the sub's name, but that was the...
Well, Pesky had his back to the plate,
That's right.
and he was taking the relay, and nobody told him that to throw it home. So he knew Slaughter was on first, so he
Yeah.
turned to throw it to third. By then he had turned the base and lost again.
That's right. And Ted Williams had a lousy series, but nobody ever talked about the fact he had hurt himself.
Yes, yeah.
Hurt his elbow,
Yeah.
and so wasn't in top shape
No.
in a game. But oh well.
Okay.
So let's hope we have a 1946 and 2017 coming up.
I think this club will be right in the thick of things in the end. I really do.
Good, good.
I've been wrong before, though. More than once. But anyways, it's a pleasure. I enjoyed
Very
it
much. I've
so
enjoyed
much.
talking to you.
Good.
It's so, it's so nice to meet baseball fans. We've been to all the parks around the country, and anytime we see anybody else with the Red Sox paraphernalia on, we're friends, automatically. I know a couple people in this town who I would never speak to. Nothing else in common, but every time we see each other at the post office, how the Sox doing?
Yeah.
It's like a Red Sox Nation is a very real thing, and I've got a new member of Red Sox Nation right here.
All right.
And
There's a couple of has-beens who never was.
yeah, we keep the faith.
Yes, we do.
So until next time, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all anon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for watching another outstanding program provided to you by Lunenburg Public Access. We're here to serve the community. Lunenburg Public Access is always looking for volunteers to help record town events, high school sports, and town meetings. Please consider helping us out today. To contact us, you can call 617-763-3018 or email us at lunenburgaccess@gmail.com. Thank you.